Willie Contraband here, and welcome to Beyond Duality.
Beyond duality, three eyes in a circle. Willie Contraband, no soul, controversial. Facts on facts, but my name's not Urkel. Hit 'em where it hurts till their heart turns purple.
Peace, family. How you doing? How you doing? How you feeling? How you feeling? Thanks for tuning in. This is Beyond Duality, exclusively on the Swim Network. And today we're talking about Saturn and Pisces. Ooh, what's that about? Well, first of all, let's get the dates right. Saturn's gonna be in Pisces from March 7th, 2023, all the way to May 24th, 2025. Then it's going to go into Aries for a few months until August. And then Saturn in Pisces finishes in 2026, February 13th. Yeah. So mark your calendars, because we got a wild ride. I hope y'all know how to swim, baby. This is Saturn in Pisces. And yeah, we got about 3 years of this. Where do we start? First thing, I always think of Saturn in Pisces. I think of Pisces, which is the ocean, right? Abundance, unlimited, no bounds, right? No boundaries, from what we could see. But then we have Saturn in Pisces, a sign with no boundaries, where Pisces, we just said the ocean. What's closing in on the ocean? What's holding that together? We don't see any bounds, any boundaries. Saturn, the ring around Saturn restricts that. Saturn's about containing things, right? So where Pisces is just, right, this Jupiter, Neptune energy, just ever expanding. Saturn is bringing everything in, refining things, containing, restricting things, right? Containing is like a container. There's a lot of energy, but sometimes it might get too spread out. We gotta contain it there. It gets more powerful, right? But that's a challenge. Saturn in Pisces brings not much clarity, right? It gets blurry. Saturn in Pisces is blurry with boundaries. So on a collective level, this is being aware of your environment, the people around you, and if they're respecting your boundaries, and that's going to be 3 years of that, of having to be firm, right? Saturn is more earthy energy, more dense energy coming into Pisces, watery, flowy energy, where Pisces just does what it wants. La, 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 let me explore life, loves to learn, loves to have fun, loves to create. Pisces could have a routine and be organized or have a 9 to 5, but it's not ideal. But sometimes that structure is very important for Pisces, and it's important to have that somewhere in your life, even if it is a job that keeps you in a regular routine every day. But Pisces, other than that, it's good to have it in a few areas in your life. But then of that, Pisces likes to be free. Pisces is a free spirit. It's the ocean. It's boundless. Saturn is like, no, we have to be like this. Boom, boom, boom. It has to be textbook. It has to be logical. It has to make sense. And there needs to be structure. Pisces, it's so funny, the Pisces energy, because it's so subtle, but Pisces is so strong. So on the outside looking in, it's like, yeah, Saturn is going to come into Pisces, and Saturn's not going to have trouble here. Saturn runs shit. Right? Yeah, I don't know. Not in Pisces. And not that Pisces overrules Saturn, but Saturn, it's a little tougher for Saturn to have things in order in Pisces. It's a little more of a challenge for that structure to be there. So we have to be aware of boundaries. Boundaries with people in our lives, relationships, boundaries even in the workplace, boundaries with family. Make sure that you yourself know your boundaries so that you could be firm on them and you could stand on that and you could uphold that and allow people not to cross them, because in these times with Saturn and Pisces, it's gonna get crazy. It's gonna be a little messy. And when I say it's gonna get crazy, it's not like, oh, I don't know if we've seen the worst yet, but it's not gonna get too much more bad. But I mean crazy in terms of like, it's gonna look a little bit like people got some mental issues, where we all do, but it's gonna show a lot, because it's almost like with Pisces at the end, it's the complete opposite of ego, right? It's like soul, and where ego is the mask that people wear, right? Ego is the mask that people wear. That's Aries, that's the beginning. Pisces the end, and that's the soul. And it's like just showing your soul, and people are gonna be showing themselves, and it's gonna teach you who people really are in your life, in your lives, and it's gonna give you the choice to be able to make decisions whether you want certain things in your life or not. And that's what Saturn's for. Saturn is to bring discernment. So with this Pisces energy there, a lot of people are not going to be able to keep up certain characters. They're going to show themselves. And sometimes too, it's like Pisces is very spiritual energy, and I always tell people spirituality is not just like skipping through the gardens, counting flowers, looking at flowers, or counting petals or whatever. It's not a skip through the garden though, because spirituality is also, I always say, is angels and demons. So you can't say demons is not spiritual, and that's what Saturn's going to bring about. It's like, all right, do you really want to deal with this spiritual work, with this shadow work, with this light work? Everyone wants to do the love and light stuff, but what happens when it comes to the other side and we need balance and we need to do our shadow work and heal ourselves, right? It's going to show. It's going to show on ourselves, but it's going to show a lot through other people the next couple of years, where boundaries are going to be little to none. And we're also still coming out of, the 2020 stuff, catastrophes and stuff that happened, the change that happened in the world, and that has a lot of effects. And people are coming back trying to be social and learn how to be in a social environment. This makes it more of a challenge as well. There's a lot of already social anxiety people are having. With Saturn coming into Pisces and boundaries being very blurry, it's going to create a lot of tension with people, because people are not going to be aware of what they're really doing. They think it's okay, and sometimes it might be okay, but not all the time. There's a time for everything. So knowing your own boundaries so you could be firm on them and uphold them and make sure people don't cross them, so that you don't have to get mad at people or get upset with people, because if you tell them what your boundaries are, then they won't cross them, and if they do, then you know what type of time they're on, and do you want that in your life, but boundaries, I don't want to go too deep on boundaries, because there's other things I want to touch on, but that's going to be major. Spiritual accountability, right? What does that look like? Keep yourself accountable on a spiritual level, you know? How does that look like? It means, are you moving righteously? Are you saying one thing but doing the other? You know, staying in practice, keeping your studies up. And you know, I always like to emphasize that it's not that you have to become more spiritual or not. It's not about being more or less spiritual. You're already the unlimited, infinite amount of spirituality. It's about getting in tune with your spirit. Getting in tune with those fine frequencies of your spirituality that are already within you. And fine-tuning them. So spiritual accountability, if you know the way you get connected to source or to your spirituality is through yoga, but you're not doing yoga, do yoga. If it's through going for walks in nature, go for your walk. If it's through earthing or grounding in your backyard or at the park, go do that. If it's through water, you know, drink your water. Make sure you're doing your practices with your waters. If it's through any divinity tools, make sure you're in practice with your tools, whether it's astrology or the tarot or you know, cardology or Reiki, whatever it is, you know. If you're a person about meditation, you know, there's different types of meditations, but make sure you're meditating. That's going to be the spiritual accountability that Saturn and Pisces bring. Is, are you really doing what you're supposed to do? You know, in terms on a spiritual level, to keep your spiritual in a healthy place, your spirit in a healthy place. You know, another thing that comes with Pisces is also sacrifice and beliefs being ruled by Jupiter, right? Beliefs are going to change, and even recent beliefs that we've had in the last few years, 3 to 6 years, with, you know, Saturn in Capricorn and Aquarius, Saturn being home for, you know, 2 transits, is, excuse me, is even all that we learned this last decade or half a decade, we're going to be learning things beyond that. You know, a lot of truths in this life change over time. There is universal truths that are universal from the beginning of time to the end of the time, but on this journey, as we continue to grow and learn and expand, Jupiter, Pisces energy, is also our beliefs change over time, and we grow more closer to the truth, to our truth. So beliefs will change, sacrifices will change, and that will change for some people that already sacrifice, but the change of sacrifice will be coming to a lot of people where some people maybe never had to make sacrifices, and Saturn is gonna say, this is part of your service. You know, and sacrifices come for the collective, it could come for others, it could come for God, it could come for a partner, but the way I like to look at it is, it's for self. You know, what sacrifices are you gonna make these next 2-3 years to allow yourself to freely flow in these next parts of your life? What things are you going to sacrifice so that you are lighter moving into these next chapters? What things are you going to sacrifice that you know damn well are not healthy for you? Sacrifice is big because sacrifice comes with rewards. Sacrifice is you telling God, universe, Allah, Buddha, whoever is your source, Jehovah, Yahshua, whoever. Sacrifice is telling them that, hey, I trust, I know, I have faith, I know what I'm doing is wrong, or I know what I'm taking part in is not good for me. Or when you know what's righteous and what's not, and you continue to do the other thing, you know, guilty pleasures, those things, when you sacrifice, now you create space for something greater to come in, and for something that's meant for you, that's waiting for you to come in, but you have no space. You have to sacrifice to create space, you know? One of the biggest things I would say with this energy coming in is going to be, you know, Saturn is 3D, baby. It's physical. Is, you know, they say Saturn was the ancient sun, and you know, they used to worship the sun. Saturn still runs a lot of shit. I don't even want to get into what Saturn runs, but Saturn knows how to bring things into materialization, to manifestation. A master manifester is Saturn, because Saturn is also, you know, very beyond the physical, but it's very dense, so it's very well in the physical, and the energy that it brings, it could go out and pull in and magnetize all different types of energies into its orbit. And then the ring around Saturn contains it. That's what a ring does, right? It contains things, it restricts things, it keeps it in that orbit. It's like when people get married, what do they get? A ring, right? They get a ring to signify that my energy, my love is contained in this relationship, but I'm also restricted. And some people might hear that and be like, I don't want to be restricted, that doesn't sound good. But it allows you to know what your boundaries are. It allows you to also know, you know, that you have to move righteously. You have to make the right decisions, right? So with Saturn being that 3D but beyond 3D, but bringing things into materialization, master manifester, the taskmaster, coming to Pisces, where Pisces is no bounds, unlimited dreams, always in fantasy world. And that's not bad, being always in fantasy world, because this world is really what you make out of it. It's really your imagination. And this is leading to what I'm trying to say, is that Saturn in Pisces is about bringing fantasies into reality, bringing your dreams into the 3D. This is your time to dream big, to dream the dream, dream what you want to dream. Everyone thought it was going to be Jupiter and Pisces, and that's what allowed you to really expand on what can life be, right? Jupiter is also philosophical type of energy. What can life be, right? Talking about water and Jupiter and Pisces. Source, water, and motion, baby. We swimming. But everyone's like, dream big for Pisces, Jupiter and Pisces, which was facts. But now if we talking about dream big and manifest, Saturn and Pisces is it, right? Saturn and Pisces is gonna allow that. Be like, yo, whoever has the balls or the guts or the tits, whatever, to dream as big as possible and take some action right now, you're the ones. Because Saturn will make sure that when he's leaving Pisces in 2026, right, February 13th, he is going to reward you with that. That's what Saturn does. Saturn makes you learn lessons. It builds you up, allows you to get all the in and outs. What's the process of things? Here's the foundation, this is the bricks, this is the roof, this is the internal stuff. Saturn makes you do everything. Jupiter sometimes might skip some stuff because it's expanding and moving so fast, but Saturn is also very detailed, right? They say Saturn loves to be in Virgo energy, right? But now it's in the opposing side, where in Virgo energy, it's not that Virgo's limiting, but Virgo always makes you just look at the small details and make sure that you're getting all that done. Saturn is naturally like that. That's why it loves being in Virgo. But now being in opposition in Pisces, it's like Saturn will make sure you get all those little details done. But what's the big picture? Dream as big as you want, but know you're gonna have to put the work in. It's not that Jupiter in Pisces that you dream as big as you want and it maybe brought a part of that dream, you know, and it showed you that that dream is a possibility, that dream could be real. But Saturn makes the dream real. So this is your chance. This is why it's also with that power that Saturn brings to manifest in Pisces and bring dreams to the 3D and fantasies into reality, is also why it's also challenged through boundaries, because more than ever there's going to be distractions out here, and distractions take you off track. It doesn't keep you on track, it takes you off track. It distracts you from what you're trying to attract. Your attractions got to stay on track so you don't get off track and get distracted, and then you're not on track. You following that train of thought? But other than that, Saturn's your chance to really build your dream in the physical 3D world. Last thing I want to say before I go, what was it? Oh, Pisces is also drugs, baby. And there's going to be a lot of movement in the drug world, whether it's big pharma or, you know, cannabis, shrooms, LSD, psychedelics. There's going to be a big push. And it could go both ways because Pisces is two fishes. So it could be a lot of regulations and restrictions that come along, especially with the shrooms and psychedelic aspect, where shrooms are really, I don't know how, especially faster than bud, than weed, than cannabis. But shrooms been making its way through all the states and getting legalized, and which is cool. I'm like, yeah, great. But I'm like, how does that happen faster than bud, right? So that's what Saturn's doing. Saturn's like, oh, let's slip this through the cracks. It might be loose regulations, you know, with Pisces energy overtaking Saturn. But when it'll go back and forth because of two fishes, so that Saturn energy will be like, oh, alright, we're almost legalizing weed and federally for the whole United States or whatever country, because it's going to be happening all over the world sooner or later. But then it could be like, oh, actually we did something wrong and we have to take this back, or it's going to get regulated like this. Same thing with LSD and shrooms. I think it might be tug and pull. This is what might create separation between certain states. But yeah, be on the lookout for drugs. Big Pharma is going to kind of try to hold shit down and restrict shit and make sure not too much gets legalized if they don't get to profit off of it. But at the same time, the people are going to make a push right now, you know, because Pisces is the end, and Saturn coming into Pisces is, like I said, the ocean, and we're all drops of that ocean. So if things don't how can I say, go our way, I guess, for the people, tsunamis will hit. Mama Earth will make sure tsunamis will hit, because you know, we run this shit. You know, we are God. God is us. You know, they say we are all expressions of God, right? Individually. So that's the same thing of the ocean. That could probably be God, right? Water. We're all made of water, and we're all the one drops that get to express that differently. So yeah, just some food for thought. If you may feed me back, give me some feedback, but that's some food for thought. You could take that and do whatever you like with it. Give me some feedback. Let me know how I did, how it goes, what it do, what it does. If you want a personalized reading, williecontraband.com/guidance. And I'm gonna keep it going. Stay tuned, my peoples. really gonna be banging these videos out. And come back home. I love astrology, and I love to do this, you know, for myself and for you guys, for the world, for the collective. And more than ever, we need this knowledge. But yeah, I love you, and I love yourself. You're much peace, much love.
Got you thinking that I'm dying, quoting all my songs, telling you that I'm lying. Don't ignore the truth, cause the truth will always find you. No matter where you go, is always right there behind you. See the shiny lights is only really there to blind you. Crazy how the stars in the sky could define you. Crazy how the stars in the sky